Yeah, we're back. Sorry. Helps if I've got my microphone on. Yeah, so we are back for FP2 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the Baku City Circuit. Yeah, it's F1 News today is all about free practice over at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Thank you to everyone that joined me for FP1. We're back for FP2. This is the one that matters. This is where we will see the teams actually trying to put in a lap time. So FP2 should be a little bit more exciting than FP1, where we saw Lando Norris putting in the fastest times. But thank you very much for joining me for this little watch along. We can watch it together. We'll get in the chat. Make sure you get in the chat. Ask any questions you might have. And we can discuss it together as we are live. I've got my cup of tea. And if anyone saw me for FP1, it was early in the morning. I'm now showered. Didn't even have a shower, just being honest. I am now showered and fully clean and ready to enjoy Free Practice 2 live with you. Everyone's out on track, actually. Piastri out on track right now. Give you a quick look at the Baku street circuit, if you are unaware. It's quite a nice circuit, actually. I do love a street circuit. Incredibly narrow, incredibly difficult to overtake, and vital that the drivers put in a good qualifying, because overtaking on here is very difficult. And if you see Sector 2 there on the graphic on the screen, that takes you through the old town. The circuit is incredibly narrow. And if you're watching what I'm watching, you can see Oscar Piastri now putting in purple sector for the first sector, which means he's going fastest, and he's actually going through that Sector 2 right now. And you can just see just how narrow the track is and how unforgiving it is. Walls on either side, monuments, 12th century buildings. Like it's a beautiful place to race through, to be honest. But overtaking, incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. But still, an interesting track for the fans. If you watched my preview show last night, you will know that my tip for driver of the day for the Grand Prix is Charles Leclerc. Why? Well, Charles Leclerc has put that car, that Ferrari, that subpar Ferrari, on pole 4 times. And as we know, qualifying is vital on this track. So I am really excited to see how Charles Leclerc does in Free Practice 2, because this is where they want to put in a time. This is where they've changed the setup from Free Practice 1, tweaked the setup. They've been around the track. They've identified points they can improve the car in the setup. And Free Practice 2, when they come out, it's all about putting in a decent lap. Yeah, we saw Verstappen in Free Practice 1 have a lockup, which isn't unusual for the top drivers, actually. Free Practice 1, Lewis Hamilton's very good at this. Is what they tend to do, drivers like Verstappen, Hamilton, they're almost pushing the car to the ragged edge to find where the limits are in order to improve the setup for Free Practice 2. As I say that, you can you just see a Ferrari there. I think the Ferrari of Hamilton. I think it is. Yeah. Basically pushing to the ragged edge, like I say, and not making the entry to turn 10. So yeah, that's what we're going to see a little bit of at the beginning of this free practice. People trying to find the limits of the car and the tyres. They will have an opportunity to change the setup during free practice. It's an hour long. They'll get out a couple of times, but they will be maximising the amount of time they can spend out on track. Currently, Verstappen, 8 minutes in, has got the fastest lap time with Piastri in P2. Albon, P3. Now, if you were watching FP1, we were having a good old chat about Albon, saying how well he's actually been doing for Williams this year. And he's been solid, outperformed Carlos Sainz in pretty much every Grand Prix, actually. So we have seen that. So Albon, could be, we could see a driver of the day performance from Albon actually for the Grand Prix. He has been performing exceptionally well. Just to be clear, Alexander Albon is currently P7 in the Drivers' Championship on 70 points, and Carlos Sainz is down in P18 with just 16 points. So that's a massive difference between teammates driving the same car. But Sainz has now just put in a pretty good lap. He's just gone faster than Albon. He's in P3 now on this practice session. Because we do know that Carlos Sainz is a quick driver, right? We saw it in Ferrari. We know he can put in fast laps, and we know he's a good driver. He just hasn't quite got to grips with the Williams yet. But they do like him at Williams, and they are pleased that he's going to be in the 2026 car. So I'm hoping for a good result for Sainz actually this weekend. It'd be nice to see Williams having a high point scoring Grand Prix. But, we're only in practice. It's free practice too. But this is the one to watch actually. This is the one to watch because we're going to get a good indication of what these cars can do. And Norris right now is putting the fastest first sector time of anybody. Hulkenberg's just put it in P1. Not often you see that. The Sauber of Russell's gone in P1. He's put it in P1. So the cars will get incrementally quicker throughout this session. Bortoletto put in a lap time there, and then Leclerc's gone P1, 3.5 tenths faster than Bortoletto. Leclerc's the one to watch for me. Leclerc is the one to watch. He has been electric over one lap. Hamilton, he's just put the car P3. Unfortunately, with Hamilton, though, he's still 7.5 tenths slower than Leclerc. Now, we really need to see that gap close up between Hamilton and Leclerc. Because I say it over and over and over again, the most important thing in F1 is to be quicker than your teammate. That is the goal. Get in the chat. Let's have a chat. We're watching this together. Ask any questions you might have, any comments, get in the chat. I'd love to have you in there, and I will and we'll talk about it on the telly box, on the YouTube telly box. But we're all watching the same thing, and if you're not actually watching practice, I will try and give you some good commentary to keep you up to date as to what is actually happening right now. As if you were listening to it on the radio, I'll try and give you some good, accurate information to keep you up to date. A lot of pressure, I think, on Oliver Behrman at the moment over in the Haas. Esteban Ocon has really been outstanding in the Haas this year. Oliver Behrman hasn't managed to really, compete with Ocon, actually. But he is looking better, and it is his rookie season. And we can never forget what he did in that Ferrari, can we, on his debut? Ferrari like him. Haas like him. Haas have got an amazing relationship with Ferrari, considering they use about 80% of their parts bin for the Haas car. Not only do the engine, gearbox, they use bits of suspension as well. That Haas really is a parts bin Ferrari at the moment. Which actually, I know people say about Cadillac coming onto the grid in 2026. Well, they are going to be using the Ferrari power unit, but I think that's pretty much it. I don't think they're going to be using any of the running gear. Cadillac's goal is to be a fully American team within 3 years. That means American power unit, fully designed suspension, aero, chassis, and Cadillac, that's their goal. They are just using the Ferrari power unit as their stepping stone into the sport, but Cadillac definitely have the goal to be a completely original team, fully manufactured by 2029. Maybe by the time we go back to the new regulation change, which all these new big regulation changes have like a 5-year cycle, especially when it comes to engines. So Cadillac may take their time in with their power unit. I don't think so, though. I think they are itching to get a power unit that's Cadillac or GM in that car. But we are going to see according to Toto Wolff, I did a show on it earlier this week where it says V8s are back, baby, because Toto Wolff let slip that between the teams, the sort of sweet spot for F1 was or is naturally aspirated V8 engines with sustainable fuels. So I am here for that. But we don't want to have to wait 5 years for it, because this electrification of 50% electrification for next year is honestly not what we want, is it? No F1 fan wants that, but we're stuck with it for maximum of 5 years. There was talk of changing the power units within 3 years, but a lot of the manufacturers have pushed back on that because of the cost involved to develop the new engine. They do need to get that 5-year cycle to extract the value out of that development cost, but we'll see. So 46 minutes left of P2. Norris currently quickest, if you're listening, 1 minute 42, and then just basically 1/1000th of a second behind Norris is Leclerc in P2. Verstappen 3/10 behind Leclerc. Bortoletto 3.5 behind Verstappen. Lawson's put that Racing Bulls on to P5. Sainz P6 with 5/10 behind Lawson. Leclerc's gone fastest. Okay, Leclerc showing his pace over one lap. He's gone fastest of all. He's 4/10 now, quicker than Norris. Not a bad lap, that. 141.78. Hamilton down in P9 at the moment, but again, 45 minutes left. We will have a really good idea, though, of how these cars are looking by the end of free practice 2. But Hamilton's gone fastest in the first two. Oh, he's gone second. I love to see it. He's only 1.5 tenths behind Leclerc. That's much closer. So we've got the two Ferraris, P1 and P2 at the moment. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Hamilton within 1 or 2 tenths of Leclerc. Because you've got to remember, this is Leclerc's special track. He's put that Ferrari, that subpar Ferrari, on pole 4 times in Azerbaijan, in Baku. So it is what we want to see. And for Hamilton, we just need to see him closer to Leclerc. You know, we actually want to see him beating Leclerc, but Hamilton has, first of all, he's got to catch him up. I wasn't predicting Hamilton to have a great race in Azerbaijan, actually. I wasn't predicting Hamilton to be as fast as Leclerc because, one, this is Leclerc's favourite track. Hamilton's not had the greatest results here in Baku for any team. So I wasn't predicting this was going to be Hamilton's resurgence to brilliance. But, you know, to see him within 1 or 2 tenths of Leclerc is encouraging. I'm here for it. Currently, Leclerc, 43 minutes left. So we're 17 minutes in. Leclerc currently P1, Hamilton P2, Norris P3. Hamilton 1.5 tenths behind Leclerc. Norris 4 tenths behind Hamilton. Hadjar's up there in P4. 6.5 tenths behind. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting free practice, this. It's when we really get to see which cars are looking good. Gasly's out on track. I mean, congratulations to Gasly for securing his new contract at Alpine all the way to the end of 2028. Good news for Gasly. He deserves it. He's in probably the worst team on the grid this season. He's the only guy to score points for Alpine. Cola Pinto's been a bust. Duhan was a bust. But Pierre Gasly's in P14 in the driver's standings, and he's managed to score 20 points for Alpine. You know, he deserves his contract, and he's really maturing as a driver. I'd love to see Gasly in a better car, and I'm hoping Alpine will give him a better package next season with running the Mercedes power unit. They're not distracted with the problems with Renault trying to manufacture the power unit. I mean, that their engine program not great. That's been disbanded. Renault are in trouble. You know, Renault shares down by 20% plus. So Alpine had to focus their resources this year on either develop the 2025 car or develop the 2026 car to try and get a competitive package for next year. And of course, they chose wisely. They've said to the drivers, sorry guys, this is the car you've got. We know it's not great. You're going to have to do your best. We're going to have to use some clever strategy. You're going to have to just keep the car on the tarmac and try and win us some points with the 1s and 2s. And Gasly's done that. He's followed the programme and he hasn't moaned and bitched about it. He's stuck with driving a crap car, and he continually got the best out of the car. So well done to Pierre Gasly for getting that well-deserved contract at Alpine, because I'm thinking we're going to see a different Alpine next season. Will it be at the back of the grid? I hope not. The Mercedes power unit will make a difference. Yeah, Radin, look, great to have you in the chat. Let's go, Oscar. Well, he's my top pick for the Grand Prix. I believe Oscar Piastri is going to take the World Championship this season, and I think deservedly so. I do think he is the better of the two drivers. Lando Norris is no slouch. He's a quick driver, but Oscar Piastri, just a class act in every way. I did a video called Piastri the Protector, Raiden, if you haven't seen it. And I was talking about just how classy he was in the media after the Monza race, where the F1 community really turned on McLaren and said, we felt that error in the pit stop should not have meant that team orders kicked in for Piastri to give that place back to Lando Norris. And the kickback was huge against McLaren. A lot of people feeling that was unjust for Oscar Piastri, because it meant a 6-point swing against him, didn't it? But he gave the place back, and afterwards in the media, he protected the pit crew team member who had that error with the tyre gun and said, well, yeah, it cost Lando Norris 4 seconds, but more importantly, how must that team member feel after that error? I think Oscar Piastri is showing what a class act he is. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Raiden. I think Oscar's going to be the one to win this Grand Prix, and I think he's going to want to win the World Championship, and I think he's going to be a multiple world champion. He's, out of all the drivers that I've seen in the last 10 years, Oscar Piastri reminds me of my hero, which is Ayrton Senna. I think he's got the ability to show his teeth when needed. He's got that cool, calm composure when needed, but boy, he's quick. He's quick and he's still young. So for me, he's just got that Senna-esque vibe about him. And I think when he becomes a world champion, I think his teeth will get longer and stronger, if you know what I mean. I think he'll be able to he'll push back on certain things at the right time. So yeah, Oscar Piastri for me is my driver for a world champion. I think he's going to be a multiple world champion. And yeah, you're right, Raiden. The backlash on McLaren went on for, well, it's been going on all week, hasn't it? Yeah, a few days. It was harsh. And I love the fact that he stuck up for the team, because the one thing he said was, I'm not in it to win a world championship just this year. I want to win lots of world championships for as long as I'm a Formula One driver and for as long as I'm with McLaren. So he understands that when you're an F1 driver, you have to protect, you are leading the team. What you say in public and what you do on track. Your job is to not only win races, but you got to protect your team to help you win races. They're all there to support you as the sharp end of the team to win races. And having them on side is absolutely the right move. So yeah, you do have to take some of the criticism and pressure away from the team when needed. And you have to give credit to the team when needed as well. And the Wooden says Senna would not have given that position back. I agree with that. But maybe early on in his career, I don't know. That's what I was saying, the Wooden, about showing teeth. Like Piastri, once he's got a world championship under his belt, he will show his teeth more and he will be able to push back more. But his driving style reminds me of Senna as well. He's a good driver, but you are right, the Wooden. Yeah, you're right. Ayrton Senna, he wouldn't give any. There's no way he's giving up any points away, is he? Team orders with Senna, unless the team orders are in Senna's favour. By the way, he'd be pushing for it then. If he was in Lando Norris's position, you wouldn't have heard him stop talking on the radio. He would have demanded that place back, wouldn't he? It's just that element of what makes a champion, isn't it? It's that selfishness, that ruthlessness. But I do think it's in Oscar. And the game's different now as well. F1's, whether we like it or not, there is more corporate interference within F1. The money's bigger. The sponsors have a say. The team are more involved in the success of the car because of the software and the way they can manage the car from the pit wall. There's less autonomy for the driver. The game's changed, and I don't know whether we'll ever see an out and out driver who just sort of says F you to the team, to team orders. I don't know whether that'll ever happen again, maybe. But and then Wooden says, yeah, let's be honest, this is like a Brawn GP season. 2 B-tier drivers fighting for the championship. I don't think Oscar Piastri's a B-tier driver. I don't. I actually think Oscar Piastri's the real deal. I do. Lando Norris, I think he's so nice. I think it goes against him. He is quick. But is he God tier? No, not yet. Not yet. And the Wooden, I'd agree with you. Like Verstappen, God tier. Leclerc, I have to agree with you, is God. I tell you my top 3 drivers in the paddock at the moment. Verstappen's number 1. I pendulum between George Russell and Leclerc for the second best driver on the grid currently today. But I think my top 3 really, and I know George Russell's not a popular choice either. And when I talk about George Russell being possibly the second or third best driver on the grid, and not everyone agrees with me. But I do think George Russell is. I know he's not as liked, maybe because he's a bit vanilla, and he's a corporate. He's basically a sponsor's dream, isn't he, George Russell? But I do think what he's done in that Mercedes, I think he's maximised the performances out of that Mercedes. I really do. But yeah, he's top 3 for me. But you can tell me, you can call me wacky. You can tell me you think I'm wrong about George Russell. But Leclerc, Russell, and Verstappen are my top 3 drivers on the grid at the moment. Truthfully, I know, and at the best of the rookies, I think Isaac Hadjar. Bortoletto's not doing bad though. He's not far behind Isaac. I think Bortoletto could be one that really comes on strong next year in the Audi. Bortoletto is quick. I mean, prove it. He won back-to-back seasons, and he won F3, then won F2, back-to-back seasons. But Bortoletto's one to watch. He could be. I even think that Bortoletto, even though I think Hadjar pips it as rookie of the season for me so far, Bortoletto's one of those drivers that could come on so much next year and the next 2 years that we still could see him grow into a really, really top tier driver. But again, you know, it's all speculation. It's all speculation at this point. But I do think Bortoletto's got something. Oliver Behrman, I don't know what it is about him. He needs to do more for me. He's in a Haas, which obviously you could argue isn't a great car. He did show some exceptional talent when he had his debut in the Ferrari. But I think he needs to do more. He hasn't shown me enough yet, Behrman. Plus the fact he's racked up 10 super license points with stupid errors and silly mistakes, which means that one more incident, 2 more points on his license, means he misses a Grand Prix, which I think is reckless. I mean, he can't really be doing that. So Behrman, as much as I think he's quick, I think he needs to prove more. Yeah, you're right, the Wooden. Yeah, George isn't the most likable, is he? I don't know what it is about him. He just, even the British fans, he's not a fan favourite. He's just there's something about him that people just. I think it's because he's so robotic, like you say. He doesn't show enough emotion, does he? Passion. It feels very sort of contrived when he speaks, and we don't want that. We want people to speak from the heart. Bortoletto is in a shitbox and is looking a top driver. Exactly. That's exactly my point. that Sauber is not a good car. I'm hoping Audi, when Audi take over for next year and we've got a whole new platform, Audi have been successful in pretty much every discipline of motorsport they've been in. So they know something we don't know, right? So Audi could bring a competitive package next year, and I'm here for it. I hope they do. But yeah, Bortoleto is in a shit box. You're right. But he's currently P7, halfway through FP2 now. I'll give you a quick rundown if you're not able to watch it. So currently halfway through FP2, we've got Hamilton in P1, Leclerc P2. Love to see it. Leclerc 2.5 tenths behind Hamilton. Norris P3, Sainz in P4, Hadjar P5, Verstappen P6, Bortoleto P7, Alexander Albon P8, Russell P9, Lawson P10, Antonelli P11, Piastri P12, Hulkenberg P13, Tsunoda P14, Alonso P15, Ocon P16, Stroll P17, Gasly P18, Behrman P19, and Colapinto right at the back there in P20. So that gives you a full rundown of this halfway through this FP2. I'm going to go to your chat. Raiden says, thoughts on Cadillac, mate? I'm quite new F1 fan and will be supporting them. We'll be in Melbourne next year for my first F1 weekend. Oh, lucky you. Lucky you, Raiden. Yeah, so my thoughts on Cadillac. Cadillac being a completely new team, they're not taking over a team, means they have got a real uphill battle to put a competitive package on the grid in 26, because they haven't got any old data, they haven't got any old cars, they're literally coming in brand new. So they've done a couple of very clever things. They've taken 2 experienced F1 drivers to help develop their car, because the first year in Formula One for any new team, honestly, is always horrible. It's difficult. Remember Haas when they joined? Awful first couple of years. So they're mitigating their risk by bringing in 2 experienced drivers to help develop that car as fast as possible. That's clever. Perez has been in 282 Grand Prix, and he's brought that car home in the points in 67% of races. And that's what you need. You need drivers to finish and drivers to finish in the points. Bottas, same thing. He's had over 242 Grand Prix, and he's brought that car home in 60% of the races. The best Cadillac can hope for is picking up the 1s and 2s, picking up some points and not finishing dead last. Now, I know that doesn't sound very ambitious, but your first year in Formula One, that's a good result. And they can develop that car, so in 27, they become even more competitive. They've done the right thing on not having to worry about developing their own engine. They've gone with a Ferrari power unit, sensible. But their aim is within 3 years to have their own power unit and have an American driver in the car. So if they do go with this strategy of having Colton Herta as their 3rd driver, that's not been announced yet, but if they do, Colton Herta is going into race in F2, which means he'll get his super license points over the year, so he's able to drive in Formula One. That's a clever move. So they're thinking firstly a 3-year plan. Don't expect Cadillac to win races, but do expect Cadillac to develop over that year. But it's great to see Cadillac on the grid, isn't it? But those are my thoughts. Graham Loden's made some good decisions, and the first good decisions were Perez and Bottas in the seats. They're good decisions. Second good decision after the drivers is not having to develop your own power unit. Buying that power unit from Ferrari at least gets them in the race with something that's going to be a decent power unit, possibly. And it means all they have to focus on is the chassis, the suspension, and the aero. And the integration of the power unit into the car. So, yeah, Cadillac's going to be interesting. I'm rooting for him as well. Bottas is one of my favourite drivers. If you look at his Instagram, he's hilarious, and he's going to bring a lot of value to that team. Perez, Checo, great driver. Vindicated from his time at Red Bull, where he was having a horrible time in that number 2 car. It's because they were using Perez as the test bed for setups, for parts, and giving Max Verstappen a different car ultimately. And that's the problem at Red Bull. That number 2 car, you are literally just a test bed for Max Verstappen. That's all you're there to do, is support him. And honestly, no driver wants to be doing that, and Checo's too experienced to be doing that. So he has been vindicated, and I think you've got a very, very good driver in Perez next season. Oh, cheers for that. I'm back to Raiden in the chat. Cheers for that, mate. Yeah, very happy with how Caddy are building at the moment. If we get any points in Melbourne, I'll be celebrating. Me too. Bottas, our honorary Aussie. Yeah, I think Bottas is an honorary Aussie. I think he's an honorary Texan. He's an honorary American. He's just hilarious. Everyone loves Bottas. He's going to bring a lot. And that's also clever. Having a personality like Bottas in your team, you're going to bring more fans into the sport. And that's what we want. The Wooden. Can't believe you can win races in India and still not have points for a super license. You're right. It's ridiculous that you can be a driver. This is Colton Herta for you. In his rookie seasons in Indy, I'm not a massive IndyCar follower, so bear with me. But what I do know, as a rookie, he won Indy 500 and he won Daytona. Like you can't be a slouch to do that. You know, he showed a lot of promise in his early seasons in IndyCar. He obviously can drive, but again, the super license system favors F2 because F2 follows F1, doesn't it, around the calendar? So you get your F2 races on the same circuits as F1. So yeah, you get more points for scoring well in F2 as the feeder series. And Colton Herta's gone, all right, if that's the case, I'll leave IndyCar and I'll race in F2. And the interesting thing about that for Colton Herta is he's 26. He will actually be one of the older drivers in F2 because mostly in F2 it's a 17, 18, 19-year-old kids who are coming through trying to break it in F1. So what Colton Herta would bring to F2 is all of that race experience and racecraft that he managed to get together from his IndyCar experience, wins and drives. So Colton Herta might come into F2 and absolutely smash it if he gets a decent car. But it's fascinating. Yeah, I agree. We do not value, F1 does not put enough value on IndyCar drivers. And I think it's wrong. I do think it's wrong. Because Colton Herta needed 8 points to get 40 points on his super license. He would have had to finish third because you don't get any points, by the way, for winning races in IndyCar. No super license points for that, which is outrageous. You only get points on where you finish at the end of the season in the IndyCar Championship towards your super license. And I think that's outrageous. So Colton Herta would have had to have finished third to get 8 points on his super license to be eligible to race in F1. You can pick up a point if you do FP1 for an F1 team, like a lot of these rookies do. You can get a point towards your super license. But yeah, it's we do not give enough weight in the IndyCar series to help those drivers get super license points. It is outrageous. It is outrageous, really. But that's the Colton Herta story. But then you got Jack Crawford in F2 right now, 20 years old, promising American driver. Looked great at Silverstone. He won the F2 race at Silverstone, but then he's just fallen off the pace. He put himself in contention for a drive at Cadillac. He's probably still in contention. He's probably on their radar for that third seat, but he's really dropped off. So Jack Crawford probably needs a good performance here at Azerbaijan in F2 to get himself back on that radar for maybe the third seat at Cadillac. I'll give you a quick update on what's going on. So we've got Oscar Piastri clips the wall in FP2. That's not going to be good. And we've also got Franco Colapinto, unsurprisingly, hitting the wall. That's the thing about this circuit. These walls are unforgiving. One slight error, clip the wall. You know, qualifying lap gone, race over. Currently, Leclerc's just gone fastest. He's gone just 0.2, almost 0.2 quicker than Hamilton. So your two quickest cars on the track right now are Ferraris. Leclerc currently in P1, Hamilton P2, Russell P3. The McLaren's really nowhere in FP2. 22 minutes left. Got Norris down in P7. Lawson doing well. Putting that Racing Bulls in P5 at the moment. Verstappen's put that Red Bull P4, Russell P3, Carlos Sainz P8, Antonelli P9, Hadjar P10. He's looking for a lap, Hadjar, because at the moment we're seeing Lawson's been consistently faster than Hadjar in FP1 and FP2, for what it's worth. Raiden says he doesn't like Baku on the F1 games. It's a bit narrow, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit... Oh, yeah, the wooden. Yeah, done. He does look a top driver. He's getting looked at a lot, isn't he? He's getting looked at a lot. But the thing is, people are talking about him for a Red Bull seat. But the problem is, Red Bull don't like to bring drivers in from outside of their driver program, do they? So I'll tell you where Dunn looks like he's possible, where he's got a possibility. There's a seat open at Alpine for next season. We know Pierre Gasly's nailed on to the end of 28. But Franco Colapinto, they can't keep him, surely. He's already clipped the wall again in this practice session. You can't be keeping Franco Colapinto. The only reason why he's still in the car now over Doohan is because Colapinto brings a lot more money to the team. He's bringing 15 million in, whereas Doohan nowhere near. So that's why Colapinto's still got that drive in Alpine, because they are in financial trouble at the moment. They're trying to sell 20% of the team for £300 million. And I've spoken about it before, but you might be surprised who's trying to lead a consortium to buy that. And you might be surprised it might be coming back to the grid in 2026. I did a video on it. Go and check out my Horner video. I go into details about it. It's fascinating, but we do know he's trying to lead a consortium to buy 20% of that team. We're not supposed to know it, but we do. We have got a man on the ground, Tubby George. But yeah. Oh, it's like Paolo is clearly a great driver, deserving of an F1 fan from the one. Yeah, he's a great driver, but F1's not been interested in him. It's because they don't seem to value IndyCar the same way. If he was prepared to go and race in F2, it could be different. Yeah. The Wooden says, I think since Norris's engine blew up, they've turned down the engine setting in practice. That's true. That's true. But they do like to get a banker lap, though. In at least one practice session, they want to see how quick that car's going to go. So you might see the last lap that he put in FP2 be an all-out balls to the wall lap. So really, these times that we're seeing now, with 20 minutes left, we're going to see the last 5 minutes is where we're going to see probably the teams put in a quick lap just to see where they want to see where the car's really at, right? With the setup changes that they've done throughout FP1, FP2. So the last 5 or 10 minutes of this session, I am expecting to see really the best indicator of where these cars are at. Yeah, you're right, the Wooden. Colapinto he looked promising, didn't he, at Williams? I agree. But this year, the problem he's got this year is in a car that's worse than the Williams, right? The Alpine's definitely worse. But you're not being judged on how bad the car is. You're being judged on how well you do against your teammate. And unfortunately, Gasly's done well this season in the worst car on the grid and scored 20 points. And Colapinto's not scored any points. You know, you've got to get the ones and twos. You've got to finish the races. And also, he had that real mistake when it was on the tyre test for Pirelli and he put the car in the wall. You know, these mistakes go against you. As a rookie, you don't necessarily have to be the quickest, but they're looking at consistency. They're looking at mistakes. You don't want to make these rookie mistakes. And that's why Oliver Behrman, for me, has been a bit of a... Could have done better. Yeah, I mean, he could have done better because we've seen... I mean, to get 10 points on your super license, no mean feat. There's only one driver that's actually achieved the 12 points within a 12-month period, and that was Magnussen. And he was the first driver, I think, to get a one-race ban for hitting his 12 points. And Behrman's, I think 2 points come off his super license in November, so we've still got a fair few races to go. So just 17 minutes left of this free practice. Yeah, Raiden, Bortoletto, he's looking like a good driver. And like the Wooden said, he's looking like a great driver in a shitbox, and he's driving a shitbox, and he is. He's driving that Sauber, which just, it's not good, is it? It was remarkable that Hulkenberg managed to get his first ever podium in that Sauber at Silverstone, finishing P3. Imagine that. What was it? 14 years. 14 years in being an F1 driver, I think it is, for Hulkenberg. He was tipped to be the next Schumacher when he came onto the scene, but then he got a reputation for being difficult to work with. Got his first podium this year at Silverstone in that Sauber. Oh yeah, imagine how much he cost. Yeah, imagine this year. Oh my God, the wooden. He's bringing 15 million a year in sponsorship, but in broken cars alone, it's probably cost him 15 million. He hasn't won a point. Yeah, Colapinto for me is if he gets a drive for Alpine next year, I'll be shocked, because you've got drivers like Yuki Tsunoda who's not really got a drive next year. He's in a competitive situation with Lawson for a possible Racing Bull seat, but Yuki Tsunoda brings a lot of money to a team, a lot of that Japanese money. Again, it's political, but he does bring a lot of money to the team. So he's possible for Alpine. You've got, like we said, Dunn, great driver, possible for Alpine. Kimi Antonelli, because they're going to be running a Mercedes power unit in the Alpine. He's still an option for Alpine, because if he doesn't book his ideas up, he could be out of that Mercedes seat, and Mercedes could go for a better driver, and we could see Kimi Antonelli in an Alpine next season. So that Alpine seat is actually in the driver market is the most interesting one for me for 2026. Because we don't know who's going to be in there, and there could be implications. If Antonelli goes in there, then what's the implication? Who Mercedes going to go with in their number 2 seat? But even having said that, Mercedes still haven't secured George Russell's contract. George Russell turned down their offer, and they are still locked in the fine print. Russell wants a 2-year deal. He wants more money, and he wants less sponsorship engagements, because at the moment they're looking like 60 days a year for a driver, and he don't want to do it. I understand it. A lot of drivers don't want to do it. So we don't know. Mercedes haven't even got drivers for 2026 yet, have they? And also the way they've treated George Russell this year, with the way Toto Wolff publicly courted Max Verstappen, basically using George Russell as like a seat filler at the Oscars. Fill that seat until the star comes in. I mean, after he's done a really good job at Mercedes this year, you can't argue with that. George Russell been one of the top 3 drivers on the grid, and he's not been treated very well. So I understand why George Russell's kind of saying, hey, I want a reward for what I've done, and just extending my contract isn't a reward. I want a proper reward. I want some more favourable terms. And if I'm only going to get 1 year, you got to pay me for that. And I don't want to be doing all these sponsorship commitments. And I want to be doing 60 days a year doing that nonsense. So good for George. Because even if George took a year out, which I wouldn't suggest any drivers should do, but even if he did, there'd be a lot of teams. I'm thinking Aston Martin, which for 2027 would love to have George Russell is their driver, because I can't see Fernando Alonso driving for Aston Martin in 2027. I just can't see it. He'll be 46. I mean, I just can't see it happening. And George Russell is an ideal replacement for Fernando Alonso. He fits the brand really well. And yeah, I could see George Russell in the Aston Martin in 2027. It wouldn't surprise me if those conversations haven't been happening through the backdoor channels right now. Because if Mercedes are all saying, we'll only give you 1 year, why wouldn't his team be speaking to Adrian Newey and Lawrence Stroll about some sort of potential pre-deal for 2027? It's Adrian Newey, might just be building the best car on the planet right now. And I wouldn't put it past him to not bring the Aston Martin to the grid in 2026 with the best car on the grid. Honda working very, very hard with that power unit. Why would they not be? They've got an exceptional history in Formula One, Honda, and they only have to focus on one team, which means, they're working, because they've got an exclusive arrangement with Aston Martin. Everything within that team is it's almost like they're developing their own engine. Everything's congruent. So that Honda Aston Martin relationship is fascinating. And we could see an incredible car from Aston Martin in 2026. And if that is the case, why would George Russell not be wanting to sort of do the groundwork, you know, for 2027? And it might impact his agreement with the Mercedes contract. All these things are going on in the background, and I'm here for it. It's fascinating. So yeah, it is an interesting time in the driver market. And if you're wondering, I'll just quickly show you the track that we're on. This is the current circuit, the Baku City circuit. As you can see there in Sector 2, that is the beautiful part of the circuit, which takes you through the old town and the old city, where you go past the monument, which is like from the 12th century. Beautiful buildings, very, very narrow. But almost impossible to overtake up the hill up to the monument. It's an excellent track from a beauty perspective. Terrible track to overtake on, so qualifying is going to be key. And as we're in FP2 right now, we are going to get an indication of who's quick. And I'm going to give you, there's only 13 minutes left right now. Leclerc, P1. Just under 2 tenths behind Leclerc is Hamilton. Those Ferraris are currently quickest in FP2. I'd like to see it. I do like to see it. Russell P3. Antonelli putting a lap. P4. Very close to Russell's time. Just 1/10 behind Russell. We need to see that. That's exactly what we need to see. Exactly what we need to see. Hamilton's gone quickest. Hamilton has gone quickest in FP2. Wow. Just under 1/10 faster than Leclerc. I love to see it. Hamilton keeping pace with Leclerc in FP2. That is good news for Hamilton. That's going to do him the world of good for his confidence. Still not seen any sort of a time from Norris or Piastri. They need to put a marker down in this practice, I think. Just 10 minutes left. But in the last 10 minutes, this is where we're going to see quickest times, I think, from these cars. Hamilton with a clean sector 1. Yeah, he has put it quickest. I like to see that. Hamilton keeping pace with Leclerc. It's exactly what he needs to do for his confidence. It's good news, that. It's good news. Because Leclerc's got to remember, this is Leclerc's special track. This is where Leclerc's put that Ferrari, that subpar Ferrari, in P1, in pole position, 4 times. It's a great track for Leclerc, this. Oh. Ollie Behrman overcooked it off in the runoff area. He's going to have to find some pace. Behrman. He'll have flat spotted those tyres. So, 9 minutes left of this FP2. This is where we're going to see the business end. This is where we're going to see some markers put down. But I do like to see Hamilton up there on par with Leclerc, putting in a slightly quicker time. It's good news for him, because I felt for him. You could really see, couldn't you, after Hungary, that he was going through some mental anguish, wasn't he? Absolute turmoil with his performances, and when he saw Leclerc put the car on pole, he just, the weight of the world was on his shoulders. So yeah, interesting to see, and I'm happy to see he's in this practice session. He's keeping up. Oh, just seen Oliver Behrman put it out in the runoff area. So obviously, team's coming out now. Last 8 minutes. Let's see. We need to see McLaren put a marker down. Let's see how quick you are, boys. Like, let's see if you are what I anticipate as the fastest team here on this track. But they need to put a marker down. We'll find out. 7 minutes left. I'll give you a full rundown when the graphic comes up, if you're watching, if you're just listening. So currently, Hamilton P1, Leclerc P2, Russell P3, Antonelli P4, Behrman P5, Verstappen P6, Lawson P7, Ocon P8, Albon P9, Norris P10, Sainz P11, Piastri P12, Hadjar P13, Sonoda P14, Bortoletto P15, Gasly P16, Stroll P17, Hulkenberg P18, Alonso P19, and Colapinto P20. So that's how they currently fare in this FP2. 7 minutes left. I expect that order to change. I expect to see McLaren put in a lap, both drivers, Norris and Piastri. Great news for Behrman, though. He's putting a faster lap than Ocon, and that's what we're really looking for. Who's putting in a faster time than their teammate? So you've got Albon faster than Sainz. Lawson consistently faster than Hadjar today. I've not seen Hadjar put in a faster time than Lawson all day in the 2 practice sessions. So that's interesting. Because Lawson's fighting for that seat. He is fighting for that seat for 2026. So just 6 minutes left. Ferrari, really, I've not seen them off the track. They are really trying to get as many laps in as possible in this free practice too. Consistently putting in times. Oh, Carlos Sainz there rubbing the wall. You don't want to see it. This track is so unforgiving. It's so easy just to overcook a corner and just slide that rear tire into the barriers, into the wall. And that's it. It can, it can be the difference of winning points, getting P1 in qualifying. Like, it is unforgiving, this track. You cannot make a mistake. You need your drivers to even if not the quickest driver on the grid, you just cannot make any rookie errors, or you will be out. Yeah, I saw that Raiden as well. Yeah, Carlos tapped that one onto the wall, didn't he? Yeah, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Especially now the grid is so close, where the first few drivers are only separated by a couple of tenths. A little tap on the wall makes a big difference. It can be the difference of qualifying pole or qualifying 7th, right? It's unforgiving. So the driver's really trying to find the ragged edge of this circuit in practice. That's the goal. They are just trying to find the limits of the car. And then they can alter the setup a little bit to try and improve the handling, but that's what practice is all about. You've got to try and find the limits, and I think that's probably what Carlos Sainz was doing there. He's trying to find the limits, and again, you're going to see that in practice. They might just clip the wall, but it's not good for the car, I can tell you that. You don't want to be doing it. So Hamilton still P1. He'll be happy about that. Leclerc under a tenth behind him. So those Ferraris really keeping pace with each other. I love to see it. That's good news. So just 4 minutes left. Let's see if anyone can put in a time. I'm expecting Leclerc to want to go to put a time in. So Hamilton's on the softs, Leclerc's on the softs, Behrman's on mediums, Lawson's on a medium tyre compound. In theory, the softs should be the quickest tyre. So Hadjar on the medium. So when you look at that, Oliver Behrman putting P5 on the medium tyres. Good going. Lawson's been consistent putting in good times as well. So, credit to him. I know it only really matters in qualifying. All this is building up to qualifying tomorrow, which of course we'll be back for. We can enjoy it together. But that's what it is. All this is building up to the pressure point of qualifying. But it does give us an indication of who's quick. Verstappen down in P6. Now, Verstappen, to be fair to him, he leaves it late. He always leaves it late. In qualifying, you might see him like P6, P7. Last 3 minutes of qualifying, boom, puts in a P1 lap. Like, that's Verstappen. But 2.5 minutes left. Current yellow flag. Charles Leclerc pushing it, trying to find the ragged edge. He's off in the runoff area. So we're not going to see, I don't think, an improvement from Leclerc. I think we might see Hamilton finishing P1 in FP2. I'd love to see it. It'd be good for his confidence. And I think what the Wooden said about McLaren turning down their engines for practice, you could be right, because we have not seen a fast lap from either McLaren in this free practice too. So I think you might be right about that, the Wooden, to be honest. Maybe they're not keen. Maybe they're not thinking about, putting in a quick lap. Trouble is, you get so much information when you are trying to push, when you are pushing the car in free practice too. You're getting a lot of valuable data because you've only got one more practice session before qualifying to set the car up exactly as you want it. So unless they're already thinking, we know the setup, we know what we're going to do, and we don't need that flying lap data. But I would have thought we would have seen Norris and Piastri actually putting in a quick lap in FP2. Just 1 minute left now. Hamilton's time looks pretty good. Verstappen, is he on a quick one? Looking at his first sector time now. He's Hamilton's first sector was 35.517. Is Verstappen on par with that? No. Much slower. 2.2 seconds in sector 1, slower than Hamilton. He's not putting in a flying lap, Verstappen. Wow. So Hamilton's time in FP2 looks pretty darn good. Faster than his teammate. Wonder what they'll do to Leclerc's head, because this is Leclerc's, track. You'd expect Leclerc to be faster than Hamilton in every element of this Grand Prix, every practice, qualifying, on the race. So yeah, interesting, because I know the Ferraris are trying to push because they're trying to get as much data as they can. So yeah, it's an interesting one for Leclerc. That's it. So time's up. People will get to finish the laps that they're on right now. Verstappen's not on a quick lap at all. Okay. Who's still out on track? So currently, all cars will get to complete their laps. So no improvement for Ocon, no improvement for Verstappen or Bortoleto. So it looks like the order is not going to change. So let me just give you a quick rundown. Yeah. I agree. The Wooden, it is. The track is still the grip. The grip's going to get. It's obviously going to get more grip. More rubber's been put down. But I'll give you a quick rundown if you're not actually watching it. Hamilton P1, just under a tenth behind was Leclerc. Then we had Russell. Then Antonelli, Oliver Behrman P5, Verstappen P6, Lawson P7, Ocon P8, Albon P9, Norris down in P10, Sainz P11, Piastri P12, Hadjar P13, Tsunoda P14, Bortoleto P15, Gasly P16, Stroll P17, Hulkenberg P18, Alonso P19, and Colapinto P20. Obviously, I'm expecting those orders to be very different in qualifying tomorrow. We will have another free practice in the morning tomorrow to see the tweaks in the cars, the tweaks in the setups, and we'll see maybe some cars putting in some faster times. But it's all building up to all-important qualifying tomorrow, which I hope you're going to join me for. But thanks. It's been an interesting one. That the big takeaway for me in this one is Hamilton and Leclerc being so close in times. Only under a tenth between them. Hamilton just pipping Leclerc today with the fastest time, and I think that's encouraging. Encouraging for Ferrari, encouraging for Hamilton. So that's my big takeaway from free practice 2. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to Wood and thanks to Raid and thanks for getting the chat. It's been fun. Hopefully you'll join me again tomorrow for free practice 3 and qualifying. There might be another show later on today, so keep an eye out for that. But thank you so much for joining me, F1 Grandstand. Hit a like, subscribe, all of that nonsense, because it makes a huge difference to the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But for now, ta-ta.